Welcome to our video series on creating and using mini-sites. In this video, we'll look at using ready-made templates for your mini-sites. When creating mini-sites, what I do, and what you may find useful and a good shortcut, is to have ready-made templates where you just fill in the blanks. Such as, for example, I use this style of mini-site quite often, which, as you can see, is just a white background, headline with larger red text, black text for the main body of the page, and you can say that it's all in a fairly wide column. There's some space in the left margin and in the right margin. But it's all single column, and what I've done that isn't part of a standard template is also add in an opt-in box. And actually, right at the bottom, there's the standard copyright text and support links and contact links. You may find such a layout useful, and it's easy to create and easy to create templates for, and you may find that works well for you in many instances. So if I go to Mozilla Composer here, we can create that now. So you start with a brand new blank document, and you can choose Format, Page Colors and Background, and you see it says Reader's Default Colors, but I would click on Use Custom Colors. Okay, normal text is black, that's fine. Link text, that's blue as you can see, that would be fine. Active link text is blue, and I think it's the exact same shade, that's fine. The visited text is purple or magenta color, and then the background. What I would do is leave those just as they are, except with the background. I would make sure that that is... Let me do that again. Click on that and make sure it's set to white. And the code for white is a hash symbol or pound sign, and then 6 Fs, as you can see. Okay, that should be it. Let's OK that. What you can also do is go to Format, Page Title and Properties, at this time I would leave author and description blank, but we can fill in a title. And to specify, if we go back to the browser, the title is what appears here, in the title bar of the web browser. That's useful to have something there, and it can also be beneficial in the search engines, because often the search engines look at your title, here, to get some sort of context of the page. Just as an example, you can see that the title here is How to Get the Viral PDF Generator Script for Free. So, if someone wants to go to Google and type in Viral PDF Generator, because that text is in the title, chances are they would be brought to this page. Okay, so back to Composer and Title. Well, we aren't sure what this page is going to be about, so let's just put a dummy title. Let's say Direct Response Page, and let's say Title for Template, or rather, let's say Title Holder for Template. OK, and OK that. All right, that's done. And if you're interested, and actually I would advise you to get familiar with HTML code as you go, because it will help you understand what's happening. and also give you the knowledge to make your pages look better and even help you create pages more quickly once you become familiar with it. So if we just go to HTML source here, you can see the code that's been created so far. Okay, let's go back to normal view, and actually I often mention these sites. Let me go back to the browser quickly. I often mention these sites as very good references and tutorial resources because there are many HTML web page creation tutorials online, but I find these are very good and very straightforward. One is htmldog.com. This website is, I think, about 300 pages in total, and I feel the quality's good enough that it's as good as the quality you'd find in a book you'd buy in a bookshop. So I would recommend this site. And also htmlref.com. This is really more of a reference, which you may find useful. They include a few chapters here from the book, but actually, in a way, it's a teaser to get you to buy the whole book itself. The book is the complete reference HTML and XHTML, and you can get it from Amazon or wherever you choose. But with all the free content they have, the website is a great resource. Okay, so back to Composer. Okay, we've set up our basic page settings, so now what we want to do is add a table. And a table is like a holder for content. Let me demonstrate what I mean. You can add a table either going Insert, Table, or you can go to the Table menu and choose Insert. They both do exactly the same thing. And by doing that, you get the Insert Table box. So let's start with 2 rows, 1 column, and you can choose the width of the table either as a percentage of the window, and actually I can give you an example of this. If I go back to the browser and if I click here, I can change the size of the web browser window. And I can click, hold, and drag. As you can see, the content of the page does not resize as I make it smaller, which means I have to scroll like this. Some pages, when you resize them, the content of the page also changes to fit into the browser. That's when they have a table that resizes, whose size is set with a percentage. Let me give you an example. This is using a table which is set not as a percentage, and you can double check this by going to View, Source, and if you look at their code. Looking at people's code is always interesting. At least it's interesting if you want to learn HTML. If we scroll down, there we go. There's the table tag for creating a table. Width equals 760. So that's pixels, 760 pixels wide. Whereas a site where I believe working from memory uses percentage for creating the width, associateprograms.com, and let's find a good page. Let's try Newsletter Archives. And okay, if we scroll down a bit, and actually let me find a better example. Okay, I'm going to their sitemap page, and this will give you an idea of how a page reacts when you set up a table as a percentage of the window width. You can see that if I change the width, this content here is changing. If I make the page, the web browser, wider and narrower, that's what happens. So obviously, if someone has their web browser set to a very narrow setting, it can make the page a bit unreadable. But of course, it's up to them to decide how they want their browser. You may want to make that decision. But in any case, it is something to keep in mind. So anyway, back to Composer. Generally, I have a setting of 2 rows, 1 column, width 600, and I generally have it at 600 pixels. Border? No. Put the 0 for border, and let's OK that. And there's our table outline. If we go to Preview, we'll see a blank page because it's just an outline. It doesn't actually appear when a page is viewed through the browser. It just outlines it to help us work with the table, as you can see. And we can click anywhere in the table here, and you can select areas of the table like that. But what you may find to be useful, if you just double-click on the edge of the table, you can apply advanced settings, and some of these can be very useful. For example, Table Properties. You see, that brings up the Table Properties box. And an alternative way to bring up this box, if you just put your cursor anywhere within the table, like this, and then just choose the Table menu, then Table Properties. There we go. So there are 2 tabs here, the Table tab and the Cells tab. We want the Table tab at this time, and there you can see our settings. 2 rows, 1 column, height, we can ignore that, width, 600 pixels, border, 0, and actually what I would advise is spacing, I often put at 0. And padding, I often put at around 10. What the padding does is, as explained here, put 10 pixels between each cell, so that helps pad out the table and makes it easier to read. And I generally have my tables in the center of the page, so center. And you can choose a background color, but since our page background is white, and I also want our table background to be white, that's fine. However, just for your reference, if, for example, you had a blue page background and you wanted to have a white background, which is obviously advisable because anything other than a white background makes text difficult to read, you just click here. And then you can choose your color. Very straightforward. And just for the sake of completeness, let's choose white again. You can see that the code is the hash or pound symbol and then 6 Fs. So let's OK that and OK that. There we go. We've applied most of the settings we need at this time to our table. Now we can start adding content, some actual text. What I'm going to do first of all is add the smaller section, which is the bottom section, and is for content that needs to be included on most pages. For example, actually, if we go back to the browser, and for this site, which we're on right now, there's the copyright, and a small piece of text, remember the name. On my site, I simply have, scroll down to the bottom, I have the copyright, standard copyright text, and a link to the support area. So let's do that now. Add copyright text. Copyright, And then for the copyright symbol, you can even do opening parenthesis, small c, closing parenthesis, and that will do in the first place. For the sake of completeness, if you would like to add the actual copyright symbol, you can go Insert, Characters and Symbols, and here, click on the character list. Let's choose that, Insert, and then Close, and there we go. You can choose which format you want, the proper symbol, or the version made up of parentheses. So let's delete that and have the proper symbol. So after the copyright symbol, let's have a space, and then let's say copyright mydomain.com, all rights reserved. Okay, very straightforward. And what I'm going to do with this text is center it. So I'll click, hold, and drag to select it, or alternatively, I could just click at the end of the line, so the cursor's here, flashing. And if I click here, it will center the text, which it should do. And there we go. An alternative way of centering the text rather than clicking it is Format, Align, and then choose where you want your text to go. So that's our copyright text. And actually, I'm going to add a line above this. And what I've done is I just placed the cursor at the start of the line and pressed Enter. Like that. Press Enter or the return key. Then let's click here to place the cursor here. And let's add some more text. Contact/support. And you can even have a link if you want, or support@mydomain.com. However you offer support to your visitors. So once you've added support to your copyright text, or whatever other text you want at the bottom of your Minisite template, you can choose which font you want to use, which typeface you want to use, and what size you want the text. So click, hold, and drag to select. Then Format, Font, and okay, let's try that again. As you can see, it lists a lot of fonts here. But the three main fonts you want to deal with if you're creating web pages are Helvetica, also known as Arial, Times, also known as Times New Roman, or Courier. Those three fonts should be supported on most people's web browsers. If you start getting adventurous with other fonts, the page may not end up looking as you want it to look on the other person's browser. So these are the safest fonts, and I generally go for Helvetica, also known as Arial. Okay, and then let's go back, Format, Size, and it's set to medium, but you can choose. If we choose large, I think that's a little too large. Let's try again and see what small looks like. I think that looks pretty good, but you can use whichever one works best for you. And what we can do actually is select that, and bold it. Let's see, Format, Text Style, Bold. So there are some options. So let's say the bottom half of the template is done. Now, if we click here to put the cursor in the top row of the table, and you can see how the table works as a container for text. It helps format the page and format the text and helps keep it aligned. So first of all, there are two sections here, or basically you could say that there are three sections. There's the headline, there's the I'm pressing the Enter key, also known as the Return key, to add extra lines. There's also the main text, and subheadings. More text. So first of all, the headline. Headline text goes here. This is the starter that usually works for me. This is the starter I use, and you may find that it works for you. Of course, this is just for demonstration purposes, and of course, you can vary it however you want, but I've found it works well. So we have our headline there, and let's put our cursor at the end of the line. Click that, Format, Align, Center, then select the text, click, hold, and drag. Format font, Helvetica, also known as Arial. And let's choose the size. Let's try extra large. And let's make it bold. Format, text style, bold, and I generally make it red. So Format menu, text color, and you can just click here. Click here, and I think that should work well, that shade of red. As you can see, the code for this is the hash symbol followed by 2 F's and 4 zeros. So let's OK that, and click here so it becomes unhighlighted. Click, and that's how it looks. So main text goes here, and what I'm going to do, it's not really important, so I'm just going to select, edit, copy, place the cursor there, edit, paste, and a shortcut for paste is Control and V, so I'm going to paste a few more times. And there we go. There's our first paragraph of text. So I'm going to select that, Format font, Arial, format size, and let's try small, and yes, that's okay. Format text color, it should be black by default, and yes, you can see that it is. So that's okay, and we can cancel that. So that's pretty much it. And of course, we would apply the same settings here. So let's select this, edit copy, select this, edit paste. And actually, as a quick tip, after this, I would press the Enter key to add some space between the bottom text and your page footer. So there's a bit of space there. Okay, subheadings. Let me try again. Select that and put it in the center of the page, so align center. Format, font, Arial. And I would generally advise having the same font style throughout the page. I find that works well. You can try different fonts throughout the page, but in a lot of instances, for example, having Arial throughout the page, but just in different sizes and different colors, does work well. Okay, so there's our subheading in Arial. Let me just confirm here. Arial, size, let's try large. Yes, I think that's a good size. Text color, and actually just before we do color, let's make it bold. And text color, let's see, I've often found I'm not exactly sure which one going from memory, but a shade of brown or dark red can work very well. Let's try this one. And I think that might be okay, but you can see which colors you prefer. So that very quickly is a template for a mini-site. Obviously, that's just one page, but then you would store this on your computer, which we'll do now. All you have to do for that is File, Save, and OK, the File Save Page As box appears. And by default, it's gone to the desktop, which is as good a place as any to save for now. And you can call your file whatever you want. We can call it, for example, let's shorten that to, let's just call it Minisite Template 1. Save as HTML? Yes. And it's done. That's our first template done. So whenever you want to create a page that looks like this, and if you go back to the browser, and okay, ignoring the opt-in box at the bottom, which looks like this, you're pretty much set up. You just need to go to Composer, select your text, and then type what you want. For example, this is my new headline. Headline. But of course, make sure when you change your template, you don't just do File Save, because you'll overwrite your template. Make sure instead that you do File Save As. Then give it a name. So let's say Working Document, or whatever you want. So it's as simple as that. And of course, if you want to add more text and more subheadings, you can just, for example, select that, edit, copy, place the cursor here, edit, paste, and the document grows. Then you just select and overwrite it with the text you want. And now that we've given it a different name, we can just do a File Save. That's fine. So if I minimize Composer, and let me close the browser for a second, there it is on the desktop, our working document. And let me double-click on it so it opens up in the browser, and you can see how it looks. It will look very similar to how it looked just now in Composer, because the whole point of Composer is that it's a visual page editor. So what you see is almost literally what you get. But you definitely want to check it in the browser as well, and I recommend checking it in Mozilla Firefox and also in Internet Explorer, just to make sure it looks fine in both of the main browsers. And you can see that that's how it looks. So it really is as simple as that to create a Minisite template where you can just fill in the blanks to create your own Minisite pages quickly and easily whenever you want.